He asked me why I was interested in joining the Klan, and I told him that I was a pure-blooded white man who hated niggers, sticks, Jews, wops, chinks. In other words, I gave him the language of hate that they like to hear. And after I finished making this pronouncement, his response to me was, "You're just the kind of guy we like, that we're interested in." And then he said, "When can we meet?" Now, I hadn't planned that far ahead. I stalled him, told him I couldn't meet with him for another week because of business, personal business, so we arranged to meet a week later. So I then utilized one of the narcotic officers who was a friend of mine, who was my height, about my weight. Only difference was he was white. And I basically told him about my conversation on the phone, told him what had transpired, told him what I wanted to accomplish in terms of trying to get information about this group and its leaders and what their aim and intent was. And I gave him all of my identification minus anything that had a picture. And the white officer went in posing as me. He collected, on that first meeting, he collected a packet of material which had a couple of Klan newspapers in, all it was propaganda, basically. Mm-hmm. And it also had an application form. And the guy told me that I could not participate officially in any Klan operations until I officially became a member, and he urged me to fill out the form and pay my $10 membership fee. So that's what I did. So for Christmas, they wanted to put care packages together, food packages, food baskets, and so forth, for needy white families, which is a very noble thing to do. And then the other thing that they wanted to do was they wanted to bomb the two gay bars that we had. So my chief called me in, and he wanted me to basically serve as David Duke's bodyguard while he was in town. So I met with David Duke ahead of time before the meeting at this restaurant, introduced myself without telling him my last name, because the Ron Stallworth he knew was a white Ron Stallworth among his Klansmen. And I told him that I was there, that I was a professional. I didn't agree with his political ideology, but I would do everything within my authority and power to ensure his safety while he was in my town. And we shook hands. He gave me the Klan handshake. He was very professional, very polite. And that, I asked him if he would pose with me for a photo. Because I said, nobody will believe me when I tell them that I was the bodyguard of the Grand Wizard of KKK. And he said, "Oh, no problem. I have no problems with that." Now, the guy holding the camera was the white guy posing as me. I gave him the camera to snap a photo, and David Duke said he couldn't have a picture taken with me with my arm around him. So at that point, I walked up to the officer, and I said, "When you hear me say 3, snap the photo." And I went back and stood between David Duke and the Grand Dragon, and I counted 1, 2, and on 3, I raised my arms on both of their shoulders, and at that moment, the officer snapped the photo with me with my arm around the Grand Dragon and David Duke, the Grand Wizard. Wow. And at that point, David Duke bolted away from me and ran to the white officer and tried to snatch that photo away from him, but I was a half step ahead of David Duke. I actually got the camera and got the photo. David Duke tried to reach towards me to snatch it away from me, and I told him, "If you touch me, I will arrest you for assault on a police officer. That's worth about 5 years in prison. Don't touch me." And wow. He backed away and glared at me, and he would not say another word to me for the remainder of his stay in Colorado Springs. He had nothing to say. He was very upset. And that was a very enlightening, very empowering moment for me as a black man, not to mention me as a cop. Because you have to understand, this was 1979, it was barely a decade earlier that the Klan was terrorizing people down south, lynching blacks, killing them, burning houses, bombing houses. And now here it was a decade later, and one of the recognized leaders of the Klan was basically at my mercy, because I held the power of the badge over him, and he couldn't do anything about it.